Welcome, my constant reader friends. I'm Tad, and this is Tad Reads Books and Stuff. All right, we're at the end of September. So first off, I gotta say, my Cubbies, one game short. They came up, you play 162 games, and they're one game short of making the playoffs. Oh, well, I guess there's always next year. So I'm wearing a Cubby shirt. All right, so let's start off with the normal bookkeeping that I do. We did finish, as part of my Shorty Kings project, Just After Sunset. This is the book we will be discussing today. So we'll go through that in a couple minutes here. I am still reading, of course, The Righteous Thirst of Vengeance. We're through six episodes, comic books of the book. So you will be seeing my next marvelous team up review of the last 3 episodes in a video probably around Tuesday. It should come out. I've got a bunch coming out. I have a couple tags I did. I've got another special video I have to do, but busy. We're going in October, my favorite month of the year, but a busy month. So we will continue reading that. Where are you going to go? Go over here. My TBR for next month. Continuing with my Shorty King project. The next short story compilation novel, Full Dark, No Stars. This I have not read. Now, it is, again, a compilation of short stories in here. And let me see just real quick. Yeah, one of them. So only one of them I've read before. Like some of these compilation novels, specifically even After Sunset here. Some of these stories were published in other media, other areas. And so I have had experience with them, but this full novel I have not read yet. So this will be my next book in the Shorty King project for October. Also, I'm going to read another short story compilation novel. Now this is Autumn Cthulhu, and this is edited by Mike Davis. Now Mike Davis runs his own little independent publishing company, and he publishes a couple books here and there when he can. But he does a really cool podcast. I've talked on this channel before about it. But the press is called Lovecraft Easing Press. And he has a Lovecraft Easing podcast where he has a lot of authors on. They mostly talk about horror, movies and books and everything. Really cool guy. He published this as one of his, I guess, more popular books that he published. It's just a bunch of Cthulhu, mythos, Lovecraftian stories, short stories. I will be reading that in October. Now, I had some other books planned for October, for spooky month reading. And then Kim, the paper traveler, did her review. She finished The Witching Hour by Anne Rice. And we had discussed it a little bit. She liked it more than I did, although it does hold a lot of sentimental value for certain reasons with me. So I enjoyed it. It was just a little bit too much. Sometimes Anne Rice's writing, she just gets so down to the minutia of the color of the fabrics and things like that that kind of drive me crazy. But I've read this twice, and she said, have you ever read the other books? And I have them. For some reason, I never have. So she gave me the idea, you know what, spooky month, October, Anne Rice, The Witching Hour. I'm going to read the next 2 in the trilogy. There are a couple other books, I think there's some short stories, and another couple books that kind of reference the Mayfair witches in it. But the basic trilogy, I've never read. So I'm going to do it. We're going to read Lasher by Anne Rice. And we're going to read Taltos. If I can get it up here. By Anne Rice. Interesting cover on this one, but kind of bland. But Taltos, this is really cool. This is a scary, I don't know if you can see it with my lighting. Nice scary relief type picture on there. Lives of the Mayfair Witches. So yes, we will be finally doing, and these have been on my bookshelf forever, Lasher and Taltos as part of my spooky October reading TBR. So we'll get through those. That's a bunch. Also, just real quick, I just want to remind you, I'm going to do this video. You might see it very shortly. It's my Folio Society giveaway. I have reached over 500 subscribers to my channel. Thank you so much, everybody. It's the thing that I did was there are programs you can go out there and try to promote your channel and do things like that and become, monetized faster and things like that. I just kind of do this for me, and I hope people will just maybe subscribe because they like me or they found me somehow, or somebody referred them to my channel. They looked up a book and saw me and said, hey, that dude's kind of all right. I mean, even though I oftentimes give spoilers, I know everybody hates me. But I'm kind of just growing this organically. I'm over 500. It's great. So I'm going to be giving away. Well, look out for that video, because I'm going to tell you how you can get in for the drawing for this. And somebody, hopefully by Christmas, will get a really nice Folio Society book of their own from me. All right, let's talk about Just After Sunset by Stephen King. Got some notes here. Let's run through it. So this was published in November of 2008. And my version has 367 pages. On Goodreads, it currently has a 3.88. Not great, but I mean, not horrible. Almost a 4. I gave it a 3. For me, not my most favorite Stephen King compilation of short stories that he's done. Some really good stories though in here. Some really not so good stories in here, but totally entertaining. If you're a constant reader, you got to read this. Of course you do, because there actually are some really good ones in here. So let's go through it real quick. 13 short stories. It starts off with a short intro, just talking about, he talks about him and Tabby when they were younger and things like that. Really cool. I like those things that he does. But then it goes into Willa. Willa is the first story in this book. And what is it? Well, it's, I guess you would call it a ghost story. But for me, it's more of a trapped in purgatory type story. These people are dead. They don't know they're dead yet. And they're living, and they've forgotten that they died in a horrible crash. But still a cool story. Not horrible. Not one of his best. Not bad. Number 2. Let's talk about number 2. So the Gingerbread Girl. A lot of people talk about the Gingerbread Girl. Now let me show you something. I got into a period of collecting Stephen King where I decided, you know what, I'm going to try to track down like these short stories and get them in their original publication. That didn't go so well. It can be quite expensive and quite hard to do. But I did find this one, and because the Gingerbread Girl was originally published in Esquire magazine. Yeah, Angelina Jolie. Yeah. Anyways, Gingerbread Girl's here. So I collected this. I've kept it. It's not in bad shape. I probably should put it in some type of plastic or something to protect it better. But anyways, Gingerbread Girl was in Esquire magazine. I got it. I read it. I did not like it. I read it again. Now it's published, in Just After Sunset. I didn't like it. I still didn't like it. What is it? It's about a girl, and she and her husband lose the baby. So of course, like some often happens. They don't stay together. She starts running, like constantly, like obsessively running to help her with her pain and her loss. This ends up helping her along in the story because she moves out of her husband, their home, and goes and lives in a cottage down in Florida. Her father owns, and she's running down there, and she runs into this mass murder. Not mass murderer. What would I say he is? He's a psychotic woman killer, and she runs afoul of this guy. The story is way too long, way too unbelievable. Things happen. For instance, she's tied up in a chair. He goes out to kill somebody else that might know about them. She smashes the chair against the refrigerator, breaks the chair. He comes home. She hits him with part of the broken chair and knocks him out, and then just stands there and contemplates it for a while. He was gonna, kill her. She can't. They're in the kitchen. She can't find a knife. She finds like a potato smasher, and she hits him with a. Just get out, right? So then when she decides, I don't know if he's dead. I can't tell. I'm afraid. Is he passed out? She decides to go through the house, but not out the way that she came in, that she could get away easily. She goes through the house. As she goes through the house, she stops and looks in every room of the house and explores the rooms. And of course, he comes to, and then she jumps out the window, runs down she's running now, right? The gingerbread girl, you can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread girl. Of course, he catches her, and it was ridiculous. It went on too long. It's just not realistic at all. I just don't like this story. I'm spending too much time on it for a story I don't like. Anyways, let's go on. Number 3, Harvey's Dream. Harvey's Dream is a short story. Stephen King, at the end of the book, in his afterwards, says he had a dream, and he got up and just wrote the whole story down. It's like a scary dream come true story. Wasn't that good. I didn't enjoy it. Number 4, Rest Stop. Rest Stop is a story of a writer. Tell me if you've heard this before from Stephen King. A writer who writes some really strong, nasty characters, is at a book convention, driving home, stops at a rest stop, hears this guy beating his girlfriend or wife, and she's pregnant, in a bathroom stall. So he wants to do something about it, but he's a weakling, but he somehow focuses and becomes one of his nasty characters to beat this guy up and save this woman. Wasn't great. In the afterwards, he said that this kind of happened to him once at a rest stop, where he saw or heard something crazy, like that going on. I don't know. It wasn't great. I didn't like it. Number 5, Stationary Bike. Stationary Bike it's one of his. You're going to see this in Stephen King's metaverse. You'll see like different locations he recycles, like Castle Rock, things like that. He'll recycle characters. You'll meet characters or families of other characters. It's really cool. But I picture Stephen King sitting down and saying, okay, what's scary? Oh, what if art could come to life? And he has a little notebook, a little yellow notebook, and he writes down different things that would be scary that a painter could do, right? And he's got these stories, and then he's got a bunch of them, and he recycles them. Well, let's write this story. So I'm gonna write this is a story about a painter. Let me do another one, Rose Madder, there's paintings in that. Let me do Marquis, things like that. He kind of recycles his stories from different angles. Cool, interesting. He's the writer. However, this is Stationary Bike. The guy's big, needs to lose weight. Losing weight is a big thing with Stephen King, of course. I mean, thinner, elevation. You see what I'm saying? He recycles things. Stationary bike is that the guy gets on the stationary bike. The stationary bike is kind of magical or something, and he starts painting. He's an illustrator. He starts these paintings, and these paintings kind of come to life. You got to read it. It's actually a pretty decent story. I liked rest. I mean, I like stationary bike. Number 6, the things they left behind. Oh, that one. So everybody's given Stephen King crap recently and Holly about, writing about COVID. Well, this is a 9/11 story. This is after 9/11, and it's really the survivor's guilt. This guy was supposed to go to work. He woke up. Something in his head said, "Don't go to work today. Call out." He called out, and of course, 9/11 happened. He would have been on like the 110th story, and now these possessions from these people who passed away, end up in his house. It's an interesting story. I liked it, but again, he was afraid to publish it because it was a 9/11. You can't write anything about 9/11. Well, he did, and that's the things left behind. Not a bad story. Number 7, Graduation Afternoon. Graduation Afternoon is another New York City story, and it's about this graduation is coming, and there's a nuclear attack on New York City. But what it really delves into is, when your time comes, it's not going to matter how much money you have, how important you are, how self-important you are, famous you are, anything like that. This is a graduation story where a really, really rich kid is dating a not-so-rich girl, and his family doesn't like her, and this is just a pass. He's just sowing his oats with this, cheap family. But you know what? If a nuclear blast comes, it doesn't matter who you are. I liked it. It wasn't bad. Very short story. Really quick read. Number 8, N. N was originally like an online. You could only read it online when it was originally came out, and now it's published in here. I read it originally online, and I loved it. And I read it again now, and I loved it again. N is a pure Lovecraftian Cthulhu mythos story. It's excellent. Told through letters, like to the newspaper, psychiatrist and his patient, and weird things in a field with standing stones and creatures coming through it. Really good story, and I think it's one of the best stories in the novel. Pure Lovecraftian horror. Great. Followed up, number 9, with The Cat from Hell. And The Cat from Hell, if you are a Lovecraftian fan, you'll realize that Lovecraft loved to write about cats, and Stephen King does too, right? You got Pet Cemetery, you got this, you got a lot of pets he likes to use in some of his stories. This is again another Lovecraftian horror story with a cat, and really cool story. Another shorter one, and I like how they put those two Lovecraftians together, like they did the 2 New York City ones together. I mean, the editor did a good job, I think, with the order of these. Really cool story. Number 10, The New York Times at Special Bargain Rates. This is another type of recycled story. This is a voice on a telephone line of a person that is dead, has passed away. He's done this several times. This one is her husband has passed away in a horrible accident, and the phone rings, and it's his number. She answers it, and he starts talking to her. Cute little story. I don't know, not my favorite. Didn't really do anything for me, I guess. So whatever. Number 11, Mute. This is another really cool story. This is another recycled, rehashed story. Tell me if you heard this one. A man's driving down the street late at night and he sees a hitchhiker. Well, and then the man tells a story to the hitchhiker. The hitchhiker he thinks is mute. They say he can't hear, doesn't seem to be able to hear, doesn't seem to be able to speak. Disheveled hitchhiker kind of falls asleep, but for some reason he kind of has this inkling that the dude's not asleep, but he tells him this story. And it's a story about his wife. Another thing that Stephen talks about, his wife being a cheating, lying, stealing piece of junk. And he tells this hitchhiker the story, and I'm not going to tell you what happens, but pretty cool story. I did like that one. I like Mute. It's a good story. Number 12, we're almost done. Anya is, you know what it reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of Lovecraft Country. If you ever read that book or saw the TV series, there are these two little girls that are kind of like, how do I explain it? It's not those girls from that. It just reminded me of that. I'm rambling. But Anya is a story about kind of a Grim Reaper type story, but flipped. So these people aren't really ghosts. They're alive, but they've been touched by somebody else. For instance, kissed or touched by somebody when they are on their deathbed, and they have a miraculous recovery and they don't die. So instead of the Grim Reaper coming to gather your soul when you die, these come and save you. But then you now become special, and you now will have to go from time to time. This person shows up and says, you have to come with me, and you go and you you save somebody else. And sometimes there's a number it's like you have to do so many before you yourself are finally released and then able to live out the rest of your life and die. Pretty cool idea. I like the story. Gotta read it. Check it out. And then last, but not least, maybe, number 13 is A Very Tight Place. It reminded me a little bit of Dolan's Cadillac, where he buries the Cadillac, buries the guy alive in the Cadillac to get revenge. It's kind of like that, but this is happens in a porta potty. Yeah. Guy traps another guy in a porta potty, tips the porta potty over on its door so he can't get out, and is going to leave him there to die. This porta potty has been reinforced on the sides because it's on a construction site, and the guy figures out a way to get out. You can only imagine. And then what happens afterwards. Horrific in its grossness, I guess. Not bad. Kind of rehashed. I felt. Not my favorite story in the book, but not a bad story. Not a bad ender. I mean, I would like to see N maybe be up further instead of Gingerbread Girl, and maybe Mute being at the end. I mean, those are my favorite. Overall, not a bad book. Of course, at the end, he does an afterword where he gives just little snippets, little paragraphs about each story that he wrote, and the history behind it, or the what influenced him to write it. Not bad, not one of my favorites, but it is a short read. It is a quick read. Don't skip it. If you're a constant reader, please, you should read it. I think Kim is reading it. I hope she finished it. I don't know if she'll talk about it, but she said she was going to read it as well. So that's it. That's Just After Sunset. That's my September Shorty King project read. Done my TBR. Please check out my video if you want to win a really nice Folio Society book of your own. And as usual, thank you. If you found any entertaining value in my videos, please like, subscribe, leave me comments, and until next time, peace out.